Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Traps Tuesday. Today we're going to go over some new farming stuff. Now, we have gone over villager farming, so if you want to automate it, get the carrots and potatoes going real easy, I've already shown a video of how to do that, and you can feel free to go back and watch that. However, if you want to do something a little more manual, or if you don't want to have to worry about villagers or any of that kind of stuff, and you just want to be able to plant some crops and have it auto collect and sort itself and that kind of thing, we're going to go over how to do that today. So strap in and let's do this. Alright, so let's quickly talk about some water mechanics. From the original source block, water will flow out an additional 7 blocks, so that's 8 full blocks of water travel. Now, if you want it to go further, what you can do is you can drop it down a block, and then it will continue out another 8 blocks. So you can just keep doing that, and you can keep having it travel further and further, all the way until the end. Now, some fun things you can do is you can actually have a waterlogged trapdoor, and when it's open, it will cut off the water, and when it's closed, it will let the water flow. So that's one method of dispensing water onto a farm. Now, there are a few thoughts about water flowing on crops, and so we're going to go ahead and test some of those and see what the reality is. So the big thing is, let's say we have a carrot. Let's go ahead and open this trapdoor and see. This one did drop multiples. I can't tell for sure whether or not those ones did. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here and we're going to replant this. As you can see, the water, as it flows down on top of a crop, it still does create multiples. We have 7 carrots from two crops, which means we do still get multiples from that. Something else we need to test. So as you can see there, we did still get multiple crops from a single water source block being dispensed onto a piece of farmland. Now, 2 of the theories in the past were that when water fell onto a crop, that would actually not yield any bonus, as well as when it was dispensed onto a block. But both of those do seem to be untrue. So either method would work, so you can use waterlogged trapdoors. But the one problem you have there is you always do have water in your world, which if you ever break the wrong block or something like that, you could have a little bit of a leak, or you could use dispensers. Now, dispensers, of course, have the drawback of having to create dispensers with bows and the whole thing. So in survival, it can be a little bit more of a process. So if you want to avoid that, the trapdoor trick does work. It does mean this top row does get 1 less farm block, because you can dispense water onto a farm block, but if you have the trapdoor method, you do have to have water on the last block instead. As we can see here, water can go ahead and moisten a farmland for up to 4 blocks, but after that it can't. So we really can't do more than 8 blocks in a row, and how we can do that is we can go ahead and place water on both sides to go ahead and keep those crops moist. And the way we do that is very similar to the way we're going to collect the water. We're going to go ahead and let the water flow and then drop down. But we're going to have this water flowing 1 less block before it drops down, because we need to be able to separate it. So now what we're going to find is if we stick water here, it's going to go ahead and just flow off to the side. And even if we had something here, it'll just flow over one and then off to the side. So we need to go ahead and separate this water that's going to be our activating water from the rest of the water all the way across, or it's just not going to work. So how we're going to do that, so real quick, we're going to go ahead and stop this water from flowing that way by making this waterlogged trapdoors. And then we're going to go ahead and get any light source block. It could be glowstone, it could be sea lanterns, or it could be pumpkins, but basically anything that's going to stop water and create light. Now, the biggest reason we want to create light is so that we can make sure nothing can spawn here, but also our crops will grow at night if they're lit. So by doing that with a light emitting block, we stop or we keep our farm a lot more productive even during the night times, which is a very good thing. So currently, obviously, we are using the waterlogged trapdoor trick here. We could, as I mentioned, use dispensers here instead. We would get one more bit of farmland, but you do have to use the dispensers. And so I don't currently recommend that just because getting dispensers is such a pain. But if you wanted to go that route because you think it looks better or you're worried about accidentally leaking water later on, this is definitely an option. Now, we're going to need to power those trapdoors one way or another. So there's two different methods. You could have redstone torches go under these blocks and power them that way. And what that's going to do is you're then going to have them on all the time except for when you want to have it harvesting. And then you would have to turn them off. Or the other option is powering this block here, but this will have to be a faux block. So we're going to swap those out now. And we'll just run redstone right on along those and throw a lever right here. Now, of course, this lever could get hooked up to any method of powering you wanted. So you could run your redstone around, run it up a torch tower, whatever works for you. But what you're going to have to do is just power this lever to actually turn off the farm. And then when you want it to harvest, you'll just pull that lever and it'll run water on down and harvest your crops for you. And then you'll flip it back the other way. Alright, now that is the farming of our farm. So what you could do is you could alternate crops, and that will actually make them grow faster. So this could do all 4 types of crops. Or you could stick 4 of these. You could either do them side by side, and you could actually even, the next bit of farmland could be as close as right here. And then you could actually use this same water for hydration. So you wouldn't have to separate out as much. Or you could space them out as much as you want. You could do 4 in 90-degree angles from this, whatever you want. But this is the basic pod of the farm. So the next step is going to be collection. There's a couple different methods for collection. And they're all pretty simple. First things first, what you could do is you could just do a little trough here, and you could bring all the items over to one side. Go ahead and throw a hopper here. Then just go ahead and throw in a chest here. You could even just do multiple chests and just run hoppers down into them, and that will obviously sort down your items that way. So that would be one simple way. Now, of course, if you do wheat, you're going to get wheat and seeds all in this chest. If you do a combination of all 4 crops, you're going to end up with all 4 crops in this chest. So now we get back to our sorting systems. Now, we have previously gone over sorting systems. In one of our previous videos, we went over the actual sorting system that we have for our storage room in the Brocraft world. So this system here can go ahead and work for you, even on a small scale. So let's say you go ahead and you build this on a single side. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to send all of your items off in one direction and have them get sorted. And so what we can actually do, and we do need to make sure this is a drop, as a note, because farmland is actually a little bit below actual block height, if you do hoppers like this, the items will actually get pushed up against the hoppers, but never make it into the hoppers. So you need to have it drop into the hoppers. But you could go ahead and run a full row of hoppers here, and then you do want to go ahead and make sure that you stick a wall here, because otherwise the items could pass the hoppers. But by having this wall, they'll hit the wall and then drop down into the hoppers. And then what we'll want to do is we'll want to just go along wherever our storage system is going to be. Let's say we just want some chests right here. Alright, so this is basically our setup for the sorting system right here. Now do remember, whatever, if anything does end up in this sorting system and you don't have a blank spot at the end where you don't have a filter, so I do recommend actually getting rid of your last filter here. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is those items are going to end up backing up and filling up the hopper chain, and that's going to be a problem. Now you could also run that into some sort of a disposal, or just have it end up in a pit of lava, something like that, if you wanted to do that. But if you don't do that, what you're going to want to do is something along these lines, so that you make sure that you're going to not have a problem with it getting backed up. So basically right now, anything that doesn't have a filter, which is none of the actual items that can be farmed right now, but they will end up in this chest. However, as a reminder for anyone who doesn't know how this system works, is you have your line of hoppers that just takes your items across, and then you have a set of hoppers that all point into comparators, and then you have hoppers going to chests. And then from there you have these blocks right here, and it's very important that it's laid out exactly like this. Basically, you have a block for your comparator to sit on. You then have two blocks with redstone on them, drop down one, and you have another redstone block. Now from that full block you have a repeater going into this block, which also needs to be a full block, and you have a torch here. This block also needs to be a full block. Technically this block and this block wouldn't need to be full blocks. They could be slabs, or they could be any even glass blocks or whatever, but these three blocks have to be full blocks because they're going to carry redstone signal. So make sure that that is a thing. And as long as that's a thing, this system works. And so how this works is basically, once this comparator has a strong enough signal that it will extend out 3 full redstone dust, this repeater will then activate this torch, which turns that torch off, unlocking this hopper, allowing it to take the first available item from this hopper, and then send it on through the sorting system. But when this redstone torch is lit, that can't happen. This hopper is locked, and you're going to have items stuck in here, and up to 1 item stuck in here potentially. So you don't have all your items, but what you have is you have filter items, and then you do want to have some sort of item that isn't going to be filtered in this system. What I actually recommend doing is sticking in blocks that you've renamed, so there's something else. I usually have cobblestone that I rename sort, because if you don't have these 4 blocks here, if the system ever were to back up, and so then this hopper filled up all with beetroot, it could then get such a strong signal that it starts unlocking the locks next to it, and so then items just start flowing into the sorting system at random where you don't want them. So you do want to go ahead and stick in these blocks here. You can use any item in the game, just make sure that it's not going to be something that ends up in the sorting system. The easiest way to do that is actually to rename them something else, because those named items will only end up in the sorting system if you rename an item exactly the same way and also throw that in the sorting system, which you shouldn't do. So we have our beetroot, and we have our beetroot seeds, and we have our poisonous potatoes. Obviously you don't have to sort all these things if you don't want to, but those are all in there. And what you see is you see 41 of that item, and then these 4 items. Now what that means is anytime you get a 42nd item in here, it will then unlock the system and allow 1 item to travel through. So I actually, to set up these filters, I stuck a full stack of 64 in here, and it lowered it down to 41 items by filtering them out. And you'll see that the other 22 items ended up in here, and then there is the 41 in here, and potentially, yeah, and 1 in here. So there's 1 item in this bottom hopper that is stuck there until the next item flows through. But once you get another item of that type in, that will unlock, and that item will make it in, and it will cycle like that. So that's how this sorting system works. It's a great sorting system. You can do the same thing with water instead if you want to. Now water does get a little bit more tricky, especially since items can actually, because this isn't a full block in the center. As you can see, I kind of dropped down right here. So I'm not actually standing on the block anymore. Now I am But now see how I drop down into it? Items can do that too. Sometimes they'll get stuck. So it's best to line the item up with the edge, which means if you're going to use water, there's another method to do. But what you can do if you use water is you get rid of this top row of hoppers, which will save you iron, but you do need some sort of ice, preferably packed or blue, because otherwise you're going to have problems with it melting. So how you would set that up is, instead of doing this hopper line, what you would want to do is stick a row of blocks here, stick water right here like so, and then stick your packed ice right there. And then stick some packed ice here. Stick a pressure plate there. This in theory could be trapdoors, signs, things like that. Basically just anything that items will flow over without hindrance is what you want there. And then we want blocks right here. And then we'll need blocks here and here. And then a double chest here. And then this could be chests or anything. I actually recommend going with iron bars, just because they are simple to use. And you can get quite a few of them with just a few resources. But really, anything is going to work for you there. And then you need to run items along here. And then you're just going to stick your hoppers right along there. And so those are these hoppers right here. So you then build this sorting system on the other side of that. Now what you are going to need to do is, once you run out of distance, this is going to have to not be a sorted area here. Because what you're going to have to do is stick another piece of ice here with another pressure plate to allow the items to keep flowing. And then from there you can stick another bit of water. And we just washed out this entire sorting system here. So that is how this system with the water would work right there. And if you can make it a little bit more compact, you can kind of get it so that your sorting could happen even as far over as like here, so that it works out just fine. Now this has to be a double chest, because what that allows it to do is the items that flow through here will actually come over here, and then they end up kind of on this edge. So it rides in the water, but it's also hanging over the edge, which allows it to stay on the edge of the hopper and never get stuck inside of it, but still flow along the path. And then the ice just keeps it flowing so it doesn't get stuck on a single block, because if that was not ice, it could get stuck there. It has a fair amount of momentum, but without the ice, it loses that momentum very quickly. So the ice just allows it to flow through, get in the next water stream, and keep on going. So that's how that system works. of a farm where we can collect everything up. We use the hopper system in the center. The way I designed this to be this nice little square, the water version wouldn't work because I can't get the items to flow up against it properly. So we had to do the hopper version, but the hopper version will work just fine for us. The one thing to note is you probably don't want to go ahead and harvest all 4 crops at once without giving it time to process, just because the hoppers will back up and you might have some items despawn with time. But it might work out okay, but I just want to warn you. And then what we did over here is we actually added 1 extra pod. You can just kind of put in the corners if you do this quad farm idea. You can put in all 4 corners some sort of an other farm. And what we did was we did sugarcane, but you could do anything else you can farm: netherwort, bamboo, sugarcane, cocoa beans, really anything you can farm you can put here. Now, just real quick, anybody that doesn't know, you can do sugarcane on either sand or dirt, and the rates, regardless of what some myths say, do not get affected by using dirt instead of sand. And they do have to have water next to them, but what you can do is waterlogged blocks, so you can do slabs or stairs or anything that's waterlogged, so then you can just walk. So I do recommend doing it this way, just because it makes harvesting so much easier. You don't have to worry about falling in, so it should be great. But what we have here is we have the ability to then just run up here and flip this lever, and whoop-pow! It just sends it all down. And then you just flip it back up once it's all down there. You will get a couple items that come off on the side. If you built up these walls taller, you wouldn't have that problem. So if you're worried about that, go ahead and build those walls up. And as you can see, there's items just kind of flowing through here. They're kind of going around in a circle. And some items are getting put into the filters. So if we come on down to the bottom, we should see that we have items flowing right on in here. So yeah, we got some coming in there. And we do have some coming in here. The way I built this is you have single chests in the corners, then 3 double chests, then single chests in the corners. And what I have is I have beetroots, beetroot seeds, and then I have wheat seeds, and then this is carrots all the way across, potatoes, and poisonous potatoes here. So 4 potatoes, and then the poisonous potatoes in the corner. So we can go ahead and head on up. We have the ladder in the center, so that gets us up and down into this collection area. Now there are a few different other options, but you can do whatever, and you can send it. Again, you can build them off in the corners if you want. You can build walls around it. Whatever you want to do, you can make it work. Now the one thing you do have to do is you do have to make sure that you plant these manually. Unfortunately, there's no way to auto plant these doing it this way. You know, you don't have farmers up here doing the planting for you, so you will have to go through and plant them, but you have your seeds and your potatoes and your carrots and all those things, so you have all the resources you need to plant them. So yeah, so that is the farm. And basically down here I just have the four setups here. The hoppers is going ahead and sending items in. You can fill in this area with whatever you want. Obviously you would want to light this up or something, because otherwise you're going to get mobs spawning down here. So if you're not going to build something under this, that could be a problem. But there you go. Alright, if you guys have any questions about this farm, feel free to leave a comment below and I will help you guys out. And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. If anyone has any recommendations of things you want to see used as a tutorial, I'm more than happy to take suggestions, and I will do my best to build a tutorial for your ideas. So throw those in the comments below as well. And if you want to see more videos, feel free to subscribe. I will catch you guys next time, and remember folks, don't get trapped without me. Bye-bye!